This is the Abbey Normal Podcast, and this episode is just a normal conversation about bodies amongst friends. It contains many emphatic curse words and begins with a specific symptom of perimenopause, a hot topic in certain circles.
Do you know what Proctalgia Fugax is?
No.
You ever get that absolutely searing pain like a sword has been stuck into your fucking butthole around your period?
Yes. I thought those were just hemorrhoids.
It is absolutely like crippling, searing, shooting pain.
Butthole pain.
Like behind your butthole. You will just be living your whole normal ass life, singing some Rick Astley, chilling, thinking about the good times, and then all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck? Like levitating off a chair, trying to clinch.
Oh no.
Shove your hand behind your asshole to stop this.
Right.
It has something to do with the nerves of your pelvic floor.
Yep, right.
Being contracted in like tiny little microspasms.
Yep, my God.
And I have to literally take Ativan when it happens.
Oh my God.
It's gnarly.
I was super embarrassed to ask anybody about it. And
Yeah.
you know how I found out what it was called and what it was and that I wasn't a freakazoid? Fucking TikTok. TikTok showed a woman going like, you ever just be and then be like, yee!
No, there's a lot of really good menopause stuff out on
like,
TikTok. Yeah, I've been looking at it.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How would you describe that pain?
Really sharp muscle spasm, like right between your lady
Butt.
parts.
Yeah.
So right there, like
so-
closer to your butt.
If this is your vagina hole and this is your butthole, like
it's right there. It's
right
in
in there.
between.
Yeah.
So imagine somebody like shoved a puffer fish up there, but then blew it up once it was up there. But then deflates it and then blows it up again. But then deflates it and blows it up again.
Oh.
It's like a hot poker, someone's stabbing you, but
Yeah,
not in
like
the
a-
butthole, just right next to it.
Like you heat up a hanger on a stove and it's just poke. The first
It's
time
gnarly.
it happens, you're going to text us and you're going to be
Yes,
like,
I
oh my
will.
fucking God, I had that butthole pain.
I mean, this is why we need to talk about this
I thought
shit,
the first
so
time that
I
happened
know.
to me, I was like, oh my God, is this like an internal hemorrhoid? Is
Oh,
this
yeah.
what hemorrhoids feel like?
I thought it
That's
was
what-
like
that's
some
what it was.
VD. And I was like, is this some new VD that like
Yeah.
only affects behind your butthole? I've invented a new
it's going to be
VD.
named after you.
And it'll go sometimes for like 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, but it's not constant. It's like, it's like you're getting a taser. Like you're right behind your butthole area is running from the cops,
You know the
and they're
tent-
like stop,
The
and then they
TENS
taser.
machines. Picture that, but like right next to your, and then just real high.
And kind of hot.
More stabby.
Just a normal conversation about bodies. It does not stay on topic. Does this happen with your friends? Like, when it gets going, you're just yelling over each other to put your weird 2 cents into the mix. Oh, you smell like onions? Well, my butthole's on fire. And then buttholes becomes the running joke of the day. You know, normal stuff like that. So we're going to talk about our experiences growing up in different places and in different bodies. Body neutrality, body modification, skin problems and remedies, and Botox. And maybe, eventually, we get to the topic that we agreed in advance to discuss, disordered eating. But here, at the beginning, there's a bit of anxiety. Oh my God. Okay, so what are you nervous about or anxious about?
Well, antithetical to my profession, antithetical to the very nature of your podcast.
Yeah.
And conversations that we have before. I hate talking about bodies. I hate
Okay.
talking about my body, and I hate other people complaining about theirs. Not that I don't mind hearing like stuff that's wrong with people, but when nothing is more infuriating to me than like some size 4 ass bitch is like, oh my God, you know, I'm like so gross. And I'm like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
sickening.
Yeah. You
And I
don't
wor-
have empathy for that.
Not that I don't have empathy. It is just not a conversation that I'm interested in having at any point, because not that I'm like one of these body positive people. I'm absolutely not. I strive for body neutrality.
Okay.
I want to not think about my body.
Right. Okay. So we're not going to talk about how hot your body is, and we're not going to talk about all of the things we don't like about our bodies. Okay. We're just going to be right in the middle.
No, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I will manage my expectation and anxiety accordingly. Don't allow my bullshit to like change the tenor of your super cool vibe you've got going on.
Got it. Okay. Are you feeling anxious?
I am a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Now, what are you anxious about?
I haven't talked about having an eating disorder in a really long time. Like a very, very long time.
And I've never talked about it. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's fine.
But like, do you want to? You know,
mean-
like, is there like, do you want to get it out there? And-
I mean, yes and no. I feel like, yes, you know, I should probably talk about it because there's times where I just push it back down and ignore it. But then there's part of me who doesn't want to talk about it out loud because then it's real.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And other people know.
Yep.
I mean, you know, the like 50 people that listen to the Abbey Normal podcast, you know, it's not like everyone.
Well,
But
yeah.
that's like kind of everyone, though. We're
I
kind
mean,
of a
that's
big
true.
deal. I mean, this is the episode that we're on.
Right.
So,
that's true. So
I mean,
this one will go viral.
literally.
For sure.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we'll double the listeners.
Okay, the anxiety is on the table, so we'll see where the day takes us. MaiLee and Stephanie have arrived both wearing jeans, tennis shoes, and leopard jackets. If you met them, you would think they are beautiful and fashionable and young-ish. Stephanie you've met before on episode 103's Sexy Paranormal Moment. But what you don't know is that she's an Orange County, California blonde, where she grew up 20 minutes from the beach. MaiLee is born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. And though people make assumptions about Californians, Northern California and Southern California are two very different places. Here's MaiLee.
I was born in Berkeley, raised in Oakland.
I'm just wondering whether you guys have like different experiences.
I mean, I have no idea how it was like to be born and raised in Northern California, just like you have no idea how it was like to be born and raised in Southern California. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So you didn't get like necessarily negative messages about your body growing up,
No,
right?
it was no, bodies were pretty neutral territory. I was raised by a single mom. And so I was raised by like a single mom too that was like a bit of a bohemian and also had grown up in Europe. So nudity didn't occur to me that that was anything weird.
Yeah.
And like sort of Zaftig soft mother shapes didn't occur to me as being weird. Also, my mom was an artist, so there were like drawings and paintings of naked people around my house. Like that didn't occur to me as being anything other than just totally normal. And, you know, things like my period were celebrated with like a party. So like it was a little bit of like that sort of not a quite hippie mentality, because on the other hand, I do remember my mom saying like being on diets and stuff, right? But we didn't have talks about like, oh, you're looking kind of chunky today or whatever.
Yeah,
but also
yeah.
I wasn't I was this big around as a kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, however, I ended up probably in the same place that most women end up with disordered eating and really fucked up ideas about how you look and really fucked up ideas about how you feel with your body.
Mhm.
But my route to get there was a lot probably different than hers.
Mhm, mhm,
Yours.
mhm.
Where I grew up in Orange County, land of plastic surgery, land of, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, this big round. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, like that feels healthy to me. Like that feels like the goal as far as, I don't know, like just being open about your body with your kids. And I don't like that. That feels good. Did that feel good to you then? Or
Didn't think about it, didn't it?
Yeah,
There are a lot
right.
of things though that I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh. There were a lot of things that didn't occur to me about my upbringing that were, I am not white, listener. It didn't occur to me that my mom was white until I was like in high school. And
Okay.
somebody pointed out, your mama is white. And I was like, oh, word? Yeah. It didn't occur to me that that was like a
Yeah.
different thing.
yeah.
And that we were somehow different.
Right.
Right. So it also, if there was shit around bodies, I don't remember them.
Mhm.
Like it didn't occur to me.
What did you think you were? Like you said, you didn't know your
Didn't
mom was
occur to me
white
to even
You didn't
consider
categorize.
that was a thing.
yourself.
Not really,
Mhm.
because I mean, I think by then there had been like standardized tests where you have to choose one, and this was at a time again, dear listener, where you didn't have the option of filling in multiple bubbles,
That's
right?
right,
So you had
yeah.
to pick a bubble. But
Yeah.
I'm very obviously not white. So I'm going to pick the black bubble every time, right? Now you can pick multiple bubbles. You kids don't know how easy you have it. I had to walk up and down back to school, uphill both ways, filling in bubbles. So bubble black. But it didn't still occur to me that somehow that bubble was different than my mom's bubble.
Right.
Right?
Back to Orange County.
I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in an area where like we were, very close to South Coast Plaza, which was all like super affluent people shopping there. And my mom was always on Weight Watchers, always on Jenny Craig, always watching her weight. And my dad did too for a bit. And I don't feel like they ever foisted that on me ever. I don't recall that ever. But I recall, I was a chunky kid. The movie that came out was Goonies, and a lot of kids called me Chunk.
Oh,
So I was a chubby little kid. And I remember when I was a little kid, I was so chubby that I didn't like pants cutting into my waist. So my mom had to put elastic waistbands and everything for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They should just always have elastic waistbands.
Yes, I do love a good pair of stretchy pants.
Yeah, no,
But that wasn't around when you were a little kid. Yeah, that's kind of how I grew up. And my mom never made a point of it. She would just be like, okay, you just don't like the way they feel on your waist. Like, we'll just, put a pair of elastic in the waist and stuff like that. But, definitely heard kids call me chunky and fat and stuff like that.
Those little fuckers.
But I mean, I do think some of that is just kids are mean when they're little and they just say what's on their mind. But I also do think growing up in the area that I grew up has something to do with that for sure.
I think also too, maybe the time we grew up in really similar times, and kids were a lot more cruel because we had also been raised by parents who had cruel parents, and our grandparents were cruel to be cruel. Our grandparents were cruel because they grew up in a fucking depression.
That's right.
And they washed off fucking tinfoil to reuse, right? Or plastic bags,
Life was hard.
Right? Life was hard. And then our parents overcorrected. The boomers overcorrected with us Gen Xers, and we're like, not participation trophy kids, that's the millennials, but it was, you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
I'm the first generation of moms that's working full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do this too. They were not particularly cruel, but they were also not particularly present because they were gone and working. Yep. But they weren't cruel.
Right.
Yep. But kids were cruel.
Yep. Yes.
We learned to be cruel, and that cruelness was never put in check.
That's true.
There were not campaigns with little rainbow stars saying,
There was
like,
no anti-bullying. Yeah, there was no anti-bullying back then.
If you say something like at 9 years old, you might want to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not because I was fat. It was because I was ugly and black in a white school.
Oh, is that true?
I was like a funny looking little kid. I had to grow into a lot of my feet. The one thing about me is that I have looked the exact same my entire life, and I have had this deep voice my entire life.
Oh my God.
So being 9 and being very tall and very skinny with giant glasses and very curly frizzy hair and having a very deep voice does not you're not really fitting into the mold of what is popular, cool, or pretty, considered pretty.
Did you really have like a majority white school?
In
In the Bay?
Baby, Montclair, yes.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. And then also being like not in the same economic bracket too. The socioeconomic bracket was different with a single white working parent than the kids that came just going B&Ws and had like ski shares and shit and went skiing.
Stephanie grew 3 inches between 7th and 8th grade. So the chunk name calling subsided. But she had a new problem in high school.
I had such bad cystic acne when I was in high school that I had purple, just huge cysts on my face. And they were back then, there wasn't the makeup coverage that there is now. Like MAC didn't exist in the 90s. Like none of that stuff. And if it did exist, it was more like for theatrical stuff. And it's like really heavy. And I'm not wearing that to school. So I mean, all I had in high school was I think Noxzema or Neutrogena or some of these makeups.
Yeah.
And it, the color was never exact, but whatever. But it never covered that stuff. And I remember like going to school and I'd cry. I would tell my mom, I don't want to go to school. And I just have these huge purple, like welts all over my face. I still have scarring right here that that's why I'm so crazy about my skincare, because I don't ever want to go back to that place again where I was made fun of in high school for having giant purple welts on my face. And I remember this huge zit on my chin one day, and this guy walked up to me and just flicked it on my chin, just popped it. John Gracely, you're a shithead.
Let's find him and murder him.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that as clear as day.
That
and
is
I remember telling my mom about that, and she's like, let's go to the dermatologist and see if there's something we can do about this.
Honey.
And so then I went on Accutane from there.
Oh my God, that hurt my heart.
Yeah. And then when Accutane as soon as I was off the Accutane, that didn't work. Then I got on the different gel. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a really good time to insert for the listeners and maybe for your own edification. I am 21-year clinical esthetician.
Yes.
So I work in a med spa and I am also a medical assistant. So everything she's saying is like stuff I see all the time and help shepherd people through until like sort of we hit a point where we're a little limited in our formulary for what we can prescribe and dispense at our clinic. But we see this all the time. And I will say, like, Gen Z has no idea how lucky they are, because Gen X parents will not let a Gen Z child have like a single zit. Like, we are immediately dermatologists, immediately facial, immediately high-end skincare products, or just skincare products that are going to do something for you.
Yeah, that's true.
You little motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, if that would have been around, any of that stuff would have been around, my life would have been very different in school. Very, very different.
But you would be a sucky adult now. Because it made you rad. It made you rad. It made you funny. It made you resilient. It made you strong. It made you sassy. It made you sarcastic.
It made you empathetic.
Yeah,
it made you
absolutely.
empathetic.
Yeah,
it made you all of those things that are like, if you were just a beautiful, pretty, skinny bitch the whole time, you'd be insufferable.
That's true. We wouldn't be friends.
I looked like Chunk from...
You did it. I refuse to believe that.
Oh, I brought photos.
No.
I'm going to need to see those.
Yeah.
When I was in grade school, I looked like a 40-year-old woman who had 9 cats named Marge.
I want to meet that kid. I like her.
Me too. I want to hug her. Oh my
I
God.
just want to hang out with her because I'm pretty sure I know that she keeps snacks in her Fresno pocket. Like, pulls them out of her titty. They're kind of warm.
I do carry assorted snacks in my purse at all times.
Good.
Oh, same.
Yes.
By the way, do you know that I'm conditioning your husband and your husband? Do you guys know about this?
Oh my God. No, tell me.
Okay, so whenever I see them, I have candy and snacks, okay? So I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you guys doing? I don't say a word. I reach into my pocket and I'll pull out Jolly Ranchers and I put my hand out like this. And both Jeremy and Aaron will just take candy out of my hand and we're just talking. They're still talking. They have not broken conversation and they unwrap the candy and put it in their mouth. But I am conditioning them to associate me with candy and snacks.
Yes. You got to keep this going because at some point we're going to need to leverage that control you have.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
I'll be like, murder someone for me. Kill, what's his name? John Beasley? What was his name?
John Gracely.
John Gracely? Yeah, we'll find him and fucking murder him. Fuck that dude.
Need you to go to this person's house. So I think he's a divorced dad and lives with his parents or something.
Great.
Good.
He deserves it.
Yeah, I hope he stubs his toe every day of his life.
I hope he steps on Legos.
Yeah, I hope he bites the inside of his cheek in the same spot all the time.
I hope he knocks his elbow on the door frame.
Hell yeah, I hope his AirPods... The cord catches on the door handle when he's really pissed off every single time.
Or he loses one of his earbuds.
Just one. Fuck you.
Fuck you, dude. Lame ass. What a piece of shit. I will say that I think it's wildly interesting that we both experienced a level of bullying that informed how we think about ourselves now, but for really different reasons. But both based on physicality that we couldn't really do anything about.
Yep.
Right. And that's the whole thing that makes this topic unique. Like, because you can't do anything about it. I mean, we try now as adults to do different things, but like, you're born the way you're born and your body is the way it is, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, that's where my job
I was going to say, but there is something you can do about it. There's all sorts of things you can do about it.
There's lots of things you can do.
Now, I mean, you can't actually, I was just going to say you can't be taller, but now you can be taller.
So my husband went to school with a girl who had that surgery. She was out for a while because she had the surgery where they broke the bones, bro, and put spreaders.
Oh my God.
And like lengthened the bones. And it was like you maybe got 3 or 4 inches of height additional. But again, I'm sure that it made her feel more, quote unquote, normal, right? I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what I assume she must have
Do
felt.
you feel like there is any right and wrong in making adjustments to your body? Like, is there a line for you, or is it just not a moral issue?
There is a line for me personally, but I also like it's like that conundrum that you can't be for restorative justice and be a fan of cancel culture. Like, you can't preach bodily autonomy and then be like, but somebody needs to stop Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman can do whatever the fuck she wants to with her face. It's her fucking face.
Yeah.
I have a personal line.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not going to tell somebody else how to regulate and do. Like, I appreciate the Jocelyn Wildensteins of the world. You know who that is?
No, tell me.
I love her.
The cat lady.
Oh, okay.
The cat lady.
Yes.
So I appreciate her. That's her truth and she's living in it. And that's not a super far off train of thought from like people becoming their true selves through identifying as trans and starting body modifications to I tend to think about it this way. I think this is a really good way to think about it. All body mods are essentially like Pygmalion, right? Chipping away at marble to reveal the Galatea underneath. Okay. So you're just going and going. And some people sort of knock that plinth way down. And maybe it's not super appealing to everybody else, but it is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But a lot of that is just, a lot of this body modification, Botox, filler, tit job, ass job, stretching your goddamn legs out so that you're taller. All of that stuff is just the means of getting people to where they want to be. Their actualized self-image, their residual self-image. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like how they think of themselves in their mind.
Yeah.
Or how they want to be.
Yeah.
And it is an ideal. You get there however you want to get there. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want to do. If you're not going into debt and hurting people, what the fuck do I care? Look like a maniac. Good for you. Good for you.
What do you think? Do you think there's a limit?
No, I don't. I'm on
No.
the same exact
whatever
same
you
thing.
want.
Exactly. If it makes you happy and you're feeling good about yourself and this is the person who you're meant to be, then who am I to say to not do that?
So what makes you feel good about yourself?
That I look pretty damn good for somebody who's knocking on the door 50.
That's true. You do.
But I will say collectively, all Gen Xers we all look really good for our age.
Is that true? Like in comparison?
I do think that,
millennials are fucking aging like buttermilk. They look like absolute shit.
Why?
Sorry, they're carrying the weight of the goddamn world, and they didn't even have the luxury of doing really fun drugs. Because the drugs that they were doing will kill them.
Right. That's
We got to do fun drugs and go to raves and fucking hell yeah. And they didn't.
so true.
And we also now have the disposable income to do shit like Botox, right? Like you have, it's just different. We are the last, I think, the last generation that was able to do things like own houses, that are able to like have pretty solid, steady careers that pay us a lot of money so that we have disposable income. I'm not saying this as like I'm gloating. I'm just saying like these are facts.
True. Yeah.
So our level of worry and discomfort is a lot different
Dude,
than millennials and Gen Zs.
Right.
They're
right,
fucking sweating
right.
major balls right now.
Yeah. And
Fuck them kids.
add on Trump and add on a global pandemic. And yeah, they're going to be looking old.
So we have a little bit of luxury, more luxury than they have. So they look like shit. And they're also worried about everything. Rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
They're inheriting a trash pile
Yeah.
that's on fire.
Yeah.
So we look good in our old age.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, like, Botox, though.
And Botox. Okay. Tell me all of the things.
How long do you have?
I need to know all of the things because I'm totally ignorant. I'm out of the loop. I don't do shit. I don't read shit about shit. I don't know anything. Sorry, millennials. But tune in because we're going to talk about the magic of Botox, even for butthole problems.
You can do Botox too to help.
What?
Like, that is a prescribed thing that they'll do to help with
My butthole?
some kinds of not buttholes. Yes, we'll talk about Botox.
Another episode.
Botox and hemorrhoids are a thing.
Really?
You can but
Okay, focus.
they will also do this into the vaginal canal for people that are having not vaginismus, but bladder control issues,
Right.
but also pelvic floor issues.
Yep.
Oh,
So
interesting.
literally, you guys are selling Botox short. It is a fucking miracle. It was initially developed to help people recover from and treat Bell's palsy, which causes facial drooping on one side. And then it was repurposed for like beauty purposes, whatever. But it also helps with all of these other things. It helps people that get TMJ to like not clench they inject it into the masseters, so they don't clench. It helps people that suffer from chronic migraine.
Migraines, yep.
It helps people with things like strabismus or like the eye that's, what do you call it?
Wandering eye.
The wandering eye. Like it helps with that. Like it helps with bladder control. It helps with pelvic floor issues. Yes, you can inject it into the area around hemorrhoids to kind of retract them back and shrink them. So Botox does a fucking lot.
Literally use it from head to toe.
Literally. I mean, I don't know anybody who Botox. Actually, that's not true. You can Botox your knees. I do know that.
Yes. No. You can. No. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, but
You
you
can
literally
Botox
can
your
if you
knees.
have like saggy
Saggy knees,
skin
yeah.
around your knees. You can Botox that.
I looked into Botox in knees.
Okay, but what is it?
Botox is medication that is injected into the muscle. It is a protein of botulinum, which is the thing that causes like the potato salad to kill a bunch of people at a church picnic. How it kills people is it paralyzes like the muscles of your lungs. So essentially you drown in a whole bunch of phlegm. Okay. What we figured out was you can take like little teeny tiny piece of that. Tiny piece of that. And use it to selectively paralyze certain muscles.
Okay.
This prevents you from making certain expressions that cause etched in lines into skin.
Mhm.
Okay? That's what Botox is. It is injected into the muscles of your face and other places, as we've discussed earlier in the podcast, to selectively paralyze those muscles. It can be injected in lots of places in the face. And how we determine is like there's sort of a basic guideline, but some people's muscles in their faces are stronger than others.
Aaron and I recently saw this like TikTok that
Yeah.
was a whole bunch of women, must have been at a med spa or something, like saying how many, whatever the amount of Botox you get,
Yeah.
like I get 50 or I get 90 or whatever. And Aaron and I were both like, wait, what? Like we had no idea what they were talking about. Can you explain that TikTok?
So units of Botox
Units, okay.
is how dosing is measured and how you pay for Botox. But what they're talking about when they're talking about units is how many units or like inches
Okay.
or pennies of Botox that they're putting in, essentially, right? Like it's just a unit. Like a cc is too much, but like a teeny fraction of a cc,
Yeah.
right? So for instance, my masseters on either side, my masseters are really strong and I clench in my sleep and it causes me lots of neck pain and lots of headaches. So in my masseters, I think I get 22 and 22. I get a little Botox on the tip of my chin, but I can't remember how many units I get there. If you get a lip flip, you get like usually 1 or 2 units right here. I get bunny lines. So on the sides of my nose, I get a little Botox here. It's like a couple units, like maybe 4 and 4. You get 2 to 10 around the crow's feet, glabella, right here, these elevator muscles that kind of are responsible for moving your eyebrows up and down. You can get it up here. But that's how they calculate where they do. So lots of times what your aesthetic injector will do is kind of with a little white pencil will mark everywhere where they're going to inject, and then they add up the amount of units that they're going to inject. And they constitute that many units. You have to reconstitute your Botox. How long Botox lasts for each person is subjective. We see people who are like CrossFit athletes or ultra marathoners, people with super high metabolisms. They're gonna rip through their fucking Botox super quick. So they might be getting Botox like every 3 months. A normal human being might get Botox like every 6 to 12 months. Hopefully that was good and not
that
too much.
was actually very informative, because back to talking to me like I'm a baby. So thank you. Perfect.
Okay, good. But yeah.
Okay, so what are the cons of Botox or the side effects?
So, I mean, loads. You could end up looking like Kenny Rogers. Just kidding. Allegedly. He had an eye job, not Botox. Anyways, allegedly. There's lots of side effects. You can over-treat areas. I will tell you the most common thing that happens is that you could get a ptosis. I want to tell people ptosis does not occur because you have a bad injector. Ptosis, which is a drooping of the eye and is only temporary when you do Botox, if you get one, it will wear off. There are drops that we can give to make your eye open up wider too, called upneek. Ptosis occurs because you have to think about, even though we have a general idea of anatomy, everybody's anatomy is very slightly different.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they can place Botox in a place that can cause this heaviness of the eyelid, but it can be corrected. That's the most common. I would say the other biggest risk would be that you have an allergy to eggs. You have not disclosed this to your injector, or they haven't asked, which makes them a really shitty injector.
Yeah.
And you would have an allergic reaction. The other potential is that you could just be really sensitive, because it is a protein of a botulinum toxin, that you could develop kind of temporary flu-like symptoms. Okay. The most interesting negative side effect, though, is that long-term Botox use where people freeze your glabella, your forehead, and you freeze your eyebrows, they start to develop a lack of empathy because they cannot fucking emote with their eyebrows. Now, this works in the other way. This is fascinating. This works in the other way because there are people who constantly furrow. It creates a biofeedback loop of them being anxious, worried, and depressed, and doctors inject them with Botox to keep them from being able to make that expression. And it helps with their depression. But the very far end of that is you overdo, you do too much, too often, too many units, too many areas, and you develop a lack of empathy.
Oh my God.
Right?
Shut up.
Yes. It's fucking fascinating.
That is fascinating.
It's
I've never heard
fascinating
like that. That's crazy.
Fascinating. So yes, Botox, super, super great.
Okay.
Benefits outweigh the risks by a lot. If I'm wrong, you can send all email to www.thespacebetweenmyasshole and my vagina.com. Jump in the comments.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
I dare you.
That's Botox. We're pivoting towards skincare, which is an obvious direction for us to take, but what you don't know is that Stephanie is here with a black Band-Aid across her cheek.
So I decided that I was going to buy black Band-Aids to wear.
No, they're very
I
cool.
like it.
You
It's
walked
very
in
punk
and I
rock.
was like, it's getting hot.
Well, originally I bought them for Halloween.
You
'cause
could have been Nelly for Halloween and you missed out. I don't know how you were not a Saint Lunatic. I am offended, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very goth. I like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about your face.
Okay.
No, let's talk about your skin. I want to know like your journey with the skin cancer shit.
Oh, I'm pretty sure everything that I'm experiencing now is from the damage I did when I was 17.
It is.
And
That
wearing
is correct.
Hawaiian Tropic number 4 and just laying out
Oh.
like this on the beach in Huntington.
Oh my God,
in
but
my
our
tiny little
tans were
bikini.
so good though.
Oh, I was- Yeah.
You guys, I was born with one.
so rude.
But I will say that goddamn smell.
The Hawaiian
this is why I
Tropic.
love coconut
Oh my
flavored
God,
shit
it's
because
so
it tastes like
good.
suntan lotion, and my husband
And
thinks
it's so
I'm a
nostalgic,
maniac.
right?
It
So
is.
nostalgic.
I love it.
I can hear Duran Duran.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, follow the Berlin Wall. What's that? I don't even know.
Okay, but you had a tan, an enhanced tan in the 90s,
Yeah.
right? And didn't you feel glorious?
I mean, I feel
Or does it
glorious
not
about
have the
being
same-
black all the time.
Okay.
Like literally, it's so good. No, I would still tan, but just my skin, not that I don't have sun damage, I have a little bit on my driving side, but my level of sun damage is going to be different than somebody else's.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have the benefit of the kind of melanin that I have.
Right.
Right.
So back to Stephanie's very white face.
Pale. Very fair.
Hey, pale face. Tell us more about skin cancer.
But when I went into the doctor to have the biopsy done, she did tell me I had some sun damage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I said, yep, living in Southern California, 17 years old, laying on the beach like this with
Yeah.
number 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Never wearing sunscreen.
No.
It's nothing.
that was not a thing.
Yeah, I didn't grow up wearing
No,
sunscreen.
never, ever.
You put the oil on to make you darker. Those Ben
Yeah.
Soleil. Do you guys remember Ben Soleil?
Yeah.
Yes.
Soleil, yeah.
Yes.
San
Most
Tropez.
beautiful women in the ads. You never saw their faces, but
Nope.
just their perfect tan
Yep.
bodies.
Yep. And she had a white bikini. I remember that.
Mhm. And then they did one year where it was like a black bikini.
Oh, that's
but it was
right.
the same bikini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mix
Yeah,
it up a little
probably
bit.
the same body even. They just like colored it.
For the San Tropez tan.
Yeah.
So what has been your journey with the spots and stuff?
Well, the first one, this one that's here, the other one, the scar that's below that,
She's pointing at her lip because this is an audio
Yeah.
medium
you guys
and
can all
not
see
being
right now.
filmed.
I was like right above my lip, right here. I had what I thought was honestly a blackhead that would just never go away.
Okay.
Squeeze it, which you're not supposed to do, people. Not supposed to squeeze. A lot of squeezing, wouldn't go away. And then after a while, I noticed about every 3 to 4 weeks, it would fester and bleed and like crust. And I'd be like,
Oh.
oh, maybe it's my skincare products. I don't know. And then I would just ignore it. And then same thing about another month or two later, would do the same. And anytime I used any of my like alpha hydroxys or any of that kind of stuff, it would hurt so bad.
Oh,
and I was
God.
like,
ow.
I don't think I'm supposed to do that. So I finally went to the doctor and they do a 3D image first. And I had a phone call already at the end of the day. And they're like, how soon can you come in for a biopsy? And I had the biopsy the next day. And then I had an appointment for a Mohs like a month later.
Do you want to tell people what a Mohs is?
Yes, please.
Mohs is when they take cuttings, I guess I'm not sure what it's called, but
So like slices. Like,
slices, that's what
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Like a slice.
They take a slice out and then they go in and then they look at it under the scope and they see if they've got all the skin cancer cells. If they don't, they go back in it. They keep taking slices. So it's supposed to be the least invasive if you have a large area because they're just getting the skin cancer and the perimeter right around it. It's not, the perimeter isn't the right word. Margin, that's what it is. Just around it so that they've got all of it, but also the tissue next to it. And then they suture you up with the little plastic surgery stuff.
So by the way, what she's saying, when they're slicing and then sending it to pathology, that is happening contemporaneously.
Yeah.
So you are
live time.
They are
Oh, wow.
cutting. They
Yeah.
take a thin slice, stick it on a slide, send it down to a path lab. Path lab takes it stat, looks at it, says you don't have clear margins.
Yep.
Calls up, go again. You do it again. and you do it again until
it's
the
gone.
margin is clear.
Wow.
So this is happening in real time.
It takes
Crazy.
about 30 to 45 minutes between each slice. So luckily for me, I had only 2 slices. So I was out of there by I think 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Some people have a lot more slices.
Yeah, some
I had a
people
friend
have
that
more
had one
slices.
slice,
Yeah.
but some people have
Yeah.
a little more slices. I know 2 people that have had most surgeries that then required a reconstructive surgery.
Okay.
The client of mine, I had told her multiple times, hey, this isn't like a breakout that keeps recurring. You need to have somebody look at that. Sure enough, it was skin cancer. It's like maybe for her the size of like a dime right here. So next to her nose. It was really textured and really significant shortly, like within the first like 8 weeks after the surgery, right? She felt disfigured. You can't really fuck with it for a while. But now she can fuck with it. It's been a year.
Yeah.
So now she's having some laser resurfacing done. And then we'll start microneedling after that's over.
Mm-hmm.
But the other person I know had to have a flap surgery.
What's that?
Yeah, I've seen that kind of
So
stuff
this
happen
is
too.
way more fucked up. They had a Mohs on the side of their nose, slice, left them with like almost like a hole, not straight through to like the nose holes, but significant
Takes
enough.
a chunk out of your skin, essentially.
It's
yeah.
a chunk out of your skin. They cut a flap from here
Flip it
and
down like
flip it down over the nose. So I'm the center of my forehead. They take a flap of skin there and then sew that together. And the flap of skin they leave partially attached and they twist it and flip it down over the nose. And then you have to wait until it's almost like you're grafting your own skin to skin.
Right.
So then you have to wait for that to take. You
Right.
hope that it doesn't reject. But the skin between your brows
Yeah.
is a really good match for the skin on your nose. So that's
Okay.
why they do that like
Okay,
that. But it is, even though in the long run, you will have some scarring. It fades after several years. You can do stuff to minimize that scarring. During that healing process, people feel like monsters. They feel so disfigured.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that. Can you speak? Did you feel like you had a tiny little Mohs?
No,
with a tiny little.
When they were in there doing this one, the doctor who was doing it actually said, "This is bigger than we thought it was."
but
It ended
still
up
not
being-
like,
yeah.
like
no, it wasn't
disfiguring.
No,
but
no,
did you
no, no.
still come out of it feeling like I'm a monster now?
Yeah.
Like this is your face.
Yeah.
I came out with this giant. Yeah, I did. I feel like, and I still. To me, I don't think they did a good job. It's got texture on it. It's rigid. You could see where the sutures were. And I put the Dermagel on it at night. I put the little
hydrocolloid bandage.
I put the bandage on it, and I take the little thing and I massage it to try to break down that skin texture. And when I went to the doctor on Monday, I asked her about this, and she said, "Oh, just contact the clinic that you had it done in, and they'll."
Micropen it.
Do stuff to it to minimize the scarring. And I'm like, oh, absolutely, I will be for sure.
Okay.
Because when I look in the mirror, that's all I see. It's just this.
Really?
I literally
Right
don't
on
see
it,
it at all.
Not
and
at
I'm
all.
literally a professional facer looker at her.
Well, I also, when I look in the mirror, I see huge acne scars over here
don't
too.
see those either,
Yes.
guys. They don't exist, but they only exist in her eyeballs.
Yeah. I also see my brows that I over tweezed in the 90s. But that's
see that either.
No, I do see that a little bit.
oh, yeah. Look how fine and sparse they are.
But I think it suits your eye shape
It
and your
does.
nose
It looks
shape very well.
lovely.
Do you know that artist
my nose done.
Tamara Lempecka?
Mm-mm.
Was that her name? Right? Like she drew those sort of cubist
Yes,
modern ladies.
yes.
You look like one of those. Like it looks like Uma Thurman driving a car. It's
Yeah.
a green and gray painting of like a
Yeah.
deco kind
Yeah.
of lady, but kind of cubist, but kind of deco. And she looks
describing
like
her
one of
as
those.
No, I remember.
No, so it's because she has that profile. It's a very
I remember
classic,
those posters when I worked at
Yeah.
D Gallery. They were very popular.
They're very. She's a very popular poster.
Yeah.
Well, no, framed art. They were very
Framed art.
very popular.
Framed
yes.
art.
This is art.
Yeah. Art with the T.
So tell me the things you do that make you look so beautiful, aside from just your natural beauty.
Go.
Mine is skincare.
Okay.
Like I
Yes.
have like a 8-step skincare in the morning and like 12 at night, and I spend like 30 minutes in the bathroom at night, splashing around like a 3-year-old. The water goes everywhere, and I'm
okay.
this and this care and this over here. So that's me. It's all
Okay,
the skincare
pause.
stuff.
So tell me, why do you do that?
Because I don't want to have wrinkles. I don't want to be 6 years old and looking like I'm 60 years old.
Okay.
I live with something inside of me that every day it says, I don't want to look my age. Like, I don't want to look 60 when I'm 60. I don't want to look 50 and I'm knocking on the door of 50. I just don't want to look that. And if I can spend money on face care products and pad my eyes and do all this stuff and put the little silicone things underneath or whatever I need to do at night, sleep in a giant thing of Tupperware, like, I will do it.
You'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Skincare. Great. Now, is there like a product you want to plug?
No. I try whenever I go to the store and I'm definitely like loyal to a couple certain brands.
What?
I use
teach us your ways.
Caudalie. Yeah, that one. Which I found out is a drugstore brand in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
It's venotherapy. So their whole background is that it's based in things derived from grapes. And it started off as like the byproduct of the wine
industry. Yeah.
So lees, that's called the lees.
Okay.
So the lees, there's also yeast and stuff and that stuff. And so they were like, hey, we have all this byproduct. Maybe it makes good fertilizer, but maybe it makes fucking phenomenal skincare. It's great. It's like a lot of antioxidants and a lot of like probably like plant growth factor peptide bullshit now. But anyways, it's my job to know this.
Started, it was specifically just that. It was just literally face wash, two different moisturizers, a day and a night one. And I've been using that for 20 plus years. Yeah. So, and every time they come out with a new formula and I'm like, I'll try it. During the day, so I have adult acne. I use Proactive still to this very day.
Really?
Yeah. Every morning I use Proactive. Okay. If I don't use Proactive, if I don't use it or I run out of it and I don't have enough time, I look like I'm 16 again. So.
Okay, and Proactive is like a is it face wash or what is it?
Salicylic acid face wash?
Benzoyl
That's what it is, yeah. Okay. And I mean, maybe part of me still using it is because my skin has been so clear using it. And then I always see stuff on Reddit, like if you stop using it, then your face will break out. So I'm like, is it my face just conditioned to using it? I don't know.
You're going to be 90 just like still.
I'm still going to be like, I had to buy light colored towels because all my towels bleached out.
Yeah, that's the benzoyl.
Yeah. So I use that and I use like 2 different moisturizers during the day and at night and my eye cream.
Of course. Okay, so that was your skincare routine that you're very into. I don't even know, how long is this story going to be if I ask you what your skincare routine is?
My skincare routine is super minimal.
Oh, interesting. Okay, tell us.
Somebody said, well, what's the beauty product? My work answer is sunscreen, motherfucker. Wear it. Mm-hmm. Retinol. Her retinoid, bitch. Also do that. But my actual answer is lid scrub. It is a foam that my eye doctor told me to get the crust out of your gross ass eyes when you wake up in the morning. It's the very first thing I do in the morning. So I take this foam and I put it on my fingertips and I rub it into my lash line and I get all the crust out of my eyes in the morning so I'm not eye booger city. And then I wipe that off with a wet washcloth. And then in the morning I do a little pigment regulator, just a pigment brightener, and then a little vitamin C. And then I use good old-fashioned Embryolisse as my moisturizer, bitch. It makes an amazing base for putting on any kind of makeup, but also it just feels good as fuck on your skin and you need a pea-sized drop. So that's my morning. My nighttime is that I'll do maybe an oil. If I'm not being a lazy fat bitch, I'll do an oil cleanse. And then I switch between 2 cleansers, the Skin Medica Purifying Acne Cleanser, because I love an acidy cleanser, or the Zenobaji Gentle Cleanser, because I like a foaming cleanser is what I just realized. Both of those are foaming cleansers. I don't even wear moisturizer at the nighttime. Like a real fucking heathen.
Do you wear makeup every day?
Not every day, no.
Okay.
I have to go to work. I have to sell the vibes, bro. Yeah. am very minimal with my home care because I'm very maximal with all the other
Okay,
shit.
yes. So let's go there. Let's go there. So what else do you do?
I want to preface what I'm going to say with this is not a normal regimen for normal human beings.
Okay.
My access is very different because of my job.
Mm-hmm.
This is not sustainable for the normal human being. It might not even be sustainable for like an actress on the WB. It's potentially sustainable for a Courtney Cox. It's definitely sustainable for Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
You feel me?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So the latest thing that I did, and I do this like once a year because it is fucking traumatic, is that I did a Fotona laser peel. This is a laser that I think it's an erbium laser. It's a laser that it has a lot of applications and it's pretty precise, so you can calibrate it even for darker skin tones. So prior to like the last 5 years, lasers were only for white people. They are not only for white people now. So this laser can be calibrated for darker skin types. They do it on me like a peel, which sounds innocuous, but it feels like Satan shitting fire onto your face. Not while they're doing it, it just feels warm. Once you turn the Zimmer, which is this thing that blows super cold air on your face, off, and you turn the laser off, your face heats up to like 45 million degrees. And again, Satan shitting Doritos, Locos, tacos onto your face. It's so hot, it stays hot for 24 hours, and you swell up and you're red. And then over the course of a couple days, that kind of gets kind of gross, like rough, and then a little dark, and then it peels off.
Okay.
And you have the skin of like a 9-year-old child. So that's pretty cool. I did that. That would be the most recent thing that I've done.
Okay, so the skin of a 9-year-old child. So that means it's like
Smooth, soft,
smooth
plump.
and soft.
And
plump.
if you have discoloration, it like kind of lightens that discoloration.
Okay.
But I also do like things like Botox, filler, Morpheus, threads.
What's Morpheus?
Morpheus is radio frequency microneedling.
Oh my
Oh, I want to do that.
You are not allowed to do anything. You have the worst outcomes of anyone. There's like a list of outcomes, and it's like could cause potential. She's like, oh, number one on the call sheet.
next to it.
I'm the number one. But it is radio frequency microneedling that can go penetrate up to 8 millimeters. Now, 8 millimeters is a lot more than you think and burns fat. So they use that on your body. Some motherfuckers in the world are doing that to do things like get rid of like buccal fat on faces and fucking people up, because you need your bitches. Listen, you need your buccal fat. Not when you're 20, which is why all these 20-year-olds are having their buccal fat sucked out of their face. But you need that shit when you are a 50-year-old woman.
I have so many questions.
Please.
You are speaking a foreign language.
Ask me everything.
I love reading up on all
nothing.
this stuff.
Okay, what is buckle fat was my initial question.
So
And the cheek?
So okay, this is my normal face.
Yes.
I'm working in my buccal fat.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And you see how it makes hollows in the cheek.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like, do you know who Zoe Kravitz is?
Yes.
Okay. Have you looked at a picture of her lately?
No.
Prefacing this with an allegedly. She had a normal face. Then she had buccal fat removal.
Oh, yeah, she's like,
And she looks
like she sucked on a sour lollipop for like days. She's like this.
She looks like a taco. Like I don't know how. Like it's Zoe Kravitz buccal fat. Just BUCCAL, and it's buccal fat, not buccal fat. I don't want. I'll take no emails about my pronunciation. I work in the industry, and you don't. Okay, so you see nice round full face, and then hollowed out.
Oh, like this one.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Oh no.
And you add that on top of the very disordered or restrictive eating that most people in that industry do.
Yes.
And then you just look like you have a pointy ass chin and a strong ass jaw.
Scary.
It's horrifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's horrifying.
Sorry, Zoe.
So, but keep your buccal fat.
Okay.
Super important later. Abbey is like coming to grips with this. She's like, you're a monster.
Here's my thing. I like living in ignorance because, like, I feel fine. And then you're like, oh, FYI, there's this thing called buccal fat in your cheeks. And now I'm going to be looking at myself in the mirror thinking about my buccal fat and whether it is too much or not enough. And I feel like that's the way it is anytime I go do, I don't know, whatever, have a facial or whatever. They're like, oh, did you know you've got this thing? And like, I didn't even need to know because it wasn't bothering me. I want to have an advertisement that's like, the less you know, the better.
Not the more you know. The less the star goes backwards.
Just be
the
ignorant.
rainbow folds up.
Yeah.
It's going You're being marketed to. Maybe I'm like crazy jaded, but I decide to buy in on what I'm going to buy in on, right? And I think like the more that I know, the less likely I am to buy in.
Yeah, like, but how
even though it sounds like I buy in all the time.
How do you choose like what you want to buy into and what you don't? Or you just get to try it because you
get to try it.
Discount or whatever.
Yeah,
so
I get it for free. But so I get to try it because I get it for free. But also too, like, yes, Zoe Kravitz allegedly has this thing, has bodily autonomy. Do I think she looks like a maniac? Fuck yes, bro. I don't want that for my life. That's not going to resonate with me. I might consider it for like 2 seconds, like, I'm fucking nude, right? So I think like the more that you, know what the longitudinal outcome is of something.
Right.
And how that ages.
Yeah.
I'm making these decisions as somebody who's turning 48 in a week. Zoe Kravitz is making those decisions as somebody, I believe she's still in her 20s, right? Again, allegedly. That thinking is a real different thinking than 48-year-old lady thinking. 48-year-old lady thinking is making better choices with more information.
Right.
Predicated usually on personal happiness and not public perception. Does that make sense? For me, anyways.
Yeah.
And also be wary of anybody, unless you're asking for an opinion, like you walk into the office of an aesthetic injector or you walk into the office of a plastic surgeon and be like, what do I need to do? Be wary of anybody that tells you what you should be doing.
Right.
Because they're selling their perception.
Right.
And even still, people walk into my trusted aesthetic injectors and is like, what would you do? I know what they'd say is like, what do you think needs to be done? They'll hand you a mirror and be like, tell me what you see.
Right.
And they'll either say, yes, 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 or no, no, no.
Right.
Or yes, no, yes. And then if this is like, okay, I see what you're seeing. Here's what I would do. Right. But not unsolicited. That's fucked up and weird and terrible. So don't look at Zoe Kravitz and think you need to have your buccal fat removed.
And with that, we attempt a rough transition into the one topic we've been avoiding.
Eating disorder.
Eating disorder.
Hit it. She's like, no.
I know. I'm like, what actual question can I ask here to pivot naturally to this? I don't know. How are you doing now?
It's a lifelong struggle. It's a daily struggle. I guess daily isn't the right word, but it's definitely a struggle. I would say on the weekly, like I weigh myself all the time. Like I'm on a scale every day type situation. And I'm in the mirror doing this kind of thing and seeing how I would look if I lost 5 pounds or if I looked like this. And I stand... And this is a daily thing. Almost every day I'll stand in the mirror and I'll, suck it in and be like, okay, if I just lost 3 more pounds, I could, I'll look like this and I'll look even better for somebody who's knocking on the door at 50. Like, so that kind of stuff happens. That happens daily for sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What kind of treatment have you gotten?
Therapy.
Like just like talk therapy or?
Just psychology therapy. I mean, this was triggered when I was 19. I was triggered by a guy who told me I would look way hotter if I was as skinny as Kate Moss. And it just went down from there. And I spent a lot of my early years just not eating.
Yeah. So like what was your daily during that time?
I would live on coffee, cigarettes. And I think for my meals, I would eat a Slurpee and maybe a salad once in a while. But I didn't eat a whole lot. Like my calorie intake was pretty low. it was always calorie restriction, 100% calorie restriction. And I did, when I was younger and it was more prevalent, I did try other, like, I was like, well, what if I was bulimic instead of like just restricting calories? And I'm like, I don't enjoy barfing at all. So that was off the table. So it was just easier for me to restrict my calories. I brought some photos on my phone. At my thinnest, I was 116 pounds. Old photos of each other.
Did you get compliments when you were that small?
Absolutely, 100%, 1,000%. I got told all the time how hot I was, how cute I was. And I look back and it was all because of that really just bad body dysmorphia.
Yeah. Did you have any of that before that dipshit said that to you?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
At what point were you like, oh, this is actually a problem for me?
I was so skinny that I could barely move. I remember I was wearing a Adidas a size extra small crop top and green pants, matching jogging outfit with the gray stripes on it. I can remember as clear as day. It was so loose on me that it was like sagging everywhere. And I remember like getting up to go to the bathroom to get in the shower, and I passed out on the floor. And then I remember like trying to take a shower, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go over. And I remember just like, that was it for me. It was like, oh, this isn't really healthy. It's really not sustainable. But that also was coupled with therapy and like learning to like eat again and not restrict the calories, and like slowly trying to incorporate foods back into my life and trying to eat healthy. Like when I stopped restricting the calories, I would only eat healthy foods. So then I went down this whole rabbit hole of, well, I'm going to be a vegetarian and a vegan because I'll still get the food that I want, but I'm not going to have all the high like cholesterol and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when I was a vegetarian and vegan, I was a vegan for 2 years, which I missed out on a lot of things. But when I was vegetarian, I lived on like, a slice of toast and some peanut butter. And like, I ate a lot of like rice cakes with peanut butter and stuff like that. And I just I guess it was still restrictive calorie eating. And now I look back, and a lot of my food stuff still to this day is very much disordered eating. And I just learned very recently what disordered eating was. And I was like, holy shit, that is tick, all the way down. And do I still suffer from eating disorder? 100%, because I have serious disordered eating issues, issues.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think, just ruining my stomach from not eating calories and just have that searing kind of stomach acid pain. Now I have all sorts of GI problems. But on the other side of it, I'm pretty healthy. I'm fairly happy. Like I, feel like I've been managing it for a really long time. And there's been a couple times in the last like 15, 20 years that I've had a couple like backslides into that.
Crash outs.
Yeah. I have a couple photos of me. There was a photo of me a couple Christmases ago, and I was so skinny that I looked skeletal, and I had like layers on to kind of cover up the skinniness. And I look back and I'm like, when things are stressful for me, like work stress, home stress, whatever stress, my go-to is the restricted calorie eating, because I can control that.
Right.
So,
yep.
And that's how I deal with stress and anxiety, is I go immediately to the restrictive calorie and disordered eating, because I can control that. So, but the photo of me at Christmas, when I realized how bad a lot of that stuff was, I ended up seeing a therapist. I ended up getting on a very low dosage antidepressant to kind of help with a lot of that
Got it.
mentality. So
Good.
So here I am. I still do have food issues, but they're more like, if I have too much dairy, I'm in the bathroom for like 2 full days.
Don't stand next to her downwind.
Yeah. I could propel a car from here to Southern California.
Can you go fart into my Tesla, please? So I don't have to charge it later.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I think we have to go eat dinner.
That's what I
I'm
was
so
afraid of.
hungry,
Yeah.
and I don't want to talk about my eating stuff because that gets weird quick.
We didn't, we never even...
Oh, she's like, no, bitch, I want you to talk about your shit now.
We never even got to you.
We did it.
It's okay. It is, I'm okay.
menopausal butthole. And
We got menopausal butthole. We got all the weird shit you can do to your face. We got eating disorders. Not eating disordered. I would say disordered eating.
Disordered eating.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to add about your disordered eating in order to make Stephanie feel better about the fact that she already shared hers?
I used to be very skinny. Now I'm very fat.
You are not very fat, but we will let that ride.
I was able to minimally commoditize the less amount of space that I used to take up. Now I take up more space, and sometimes you feel invisible, but sometimes you feel powerful, but sometimes you feel like kind of grody. And sometimes you eat dinner for breakfast a lot. And sometimes even if you move your body a whole lot and you do all of these things and you join a community that's like move your body and lift up heavy things and put them down, you still have a body that takes up a lot of space. Even if you eat and cook most of your food and it's whole foods, you still have this body that takes up, you're told the body that you're in takes up a lot of space by society, right?
Yes.
And you feel like you take up a lot of space. And because you have a very busy work life, when you're not at work, you don't really eat. And then you have these like weird spikes of insulin because you spend 8 hours not eating. And then whatever it is you eat, even if you ate a carrot, because you haven't eaten all day, your insulin goes like, go fuck yourself, and you find it very challenging to lose weight, and you don't love your body. The thing that you can control, like your face or your hair or your toenails, you do.
Yeah.
And you're also a perfectionist with anxiety and ADHD. Mm-hmm. So you're fucking dealing with that and getting older and having like pain in between your asshole and your vagina.
And there you go. The end of this episode.
Yeah. No further questions. No notes.
Yeah. No notes. No notes. That was a great synopsis, but we're not quite done with this whole episode. Because next, I ask a very hard-hitting question. What is your favorite thing about your body right now?
Ooh. Ugh. Because I'm intent on just trying to practice body neutrality.
Why can't you be body positive?
Because I feel like toxic positivity has taken like a root hold in our culture that like your life is not meaningful unless you are deliriously happy or positive.
Got it.
Like people are like, how are you doing? If I tell people, fine, they think something's wrong.
Right.
I strive for contentment. And I love the fact that I'm content in my life. If I tell people I'm content, they think that there's something wrong because I'm not like, I'm terrific.
Got it.
I'm terrific.
Right.
Go fuck yourself. Who's terrific? Who wants to be? If you're deliriously happy all the time, you're on the upswing of a mania, buddy. You're get help. Seek help. So same thing with the body. I don't need to be deliriously happy about my body. Does my body move? Yeah. Do I nourish my body? Sure. Is it fine and I'm not in pain? Yep, totally. Am I grateful for that? Yeah, kind of.
Got it.
That's it. All it needs to be.
Best part. Go. You know it's coming to you next, Stephanie, so I really hope you're thinking about it.
Maybe I like okay. Sometimes I feel like the inside of my arm on accident, like I'll be scratching or something and I realize like how soft my skin is. And I remember like my mom's skin she's gotten older. She's always had soft skin, but she has like really soft skin. And it feels really good. And I'm like, oh, like I have like really, really soft skin. Like I have really soft hands. Even though I wash my hands like 40 or 50 times a day, that is not an exaggeration. I have really like skin. My husband will touch my hands and he's like, your hands are so soft. Your arm is so soft. Okay. I'll close on that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I'm going to go with my belly button.
Oh,
absolutely
button
my
is in a
God.
very abnormal place.
What?
My belly button
on
is
your,
super.
the space in
It's on my
between your
butthole.
butthole. You had to know that it was coming. Where's your belly
My
button?
belly button is not in the normal spot where people's are.
Where
Mine
is your belly
Mine's
button?
like this high.
No, it's not.
Look how high it is.
No,
Why is your belly button so high?
Normally it should be
high.
down like 2 or 3 inches.
Oh, it's
So like my
weird.
natural waist is like way
Oh,
up
way up
here.
high.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I do. I
Amazed.
Jeremy makes fun of me because I'll stand like this, and he goes, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Cause that's my natural waist." And he's like, "You look like Ed Grimley." Like,
Do you? And you have an innie.
mm-hmm.
Do
Keep the
you?
light on.
Yeah.
Yes, I clean it all the time.
Just
I clean mine in the shower all the time. I don't like the way it feels.
No, if it
what? Cleans
It
your belly
makes
button?
the worst
my
feeling in the gut.
skin crawl.
Like my talk about pelvic floor exercises.
Oh.
Nothing will make you clench that goddamn pelvic floor more than touching the inside.
Oh, God.
of my belly.
Even just talking about it right
It's
now, I'm like
horrifying. It's a horrifying
this. I have to
thought.
hold myself because I don't like the way it
In the
feels.
shower, I have to like steel myself and put like a little soap on my finger and just like and like dig it around and then like rinse it out, and you have to dry it out, otherwise it'll smell like
Oh, it's horrible.
the
Yeah,
worst
yeah.
smell in the whole wide world. But it's kind of a good smell, but it's kind of the
It's
worst smell.
connected to your vagina, but not in a good way.
No, belly buttons are horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to know what my favorite part is?
Yes. Oh, Abby. Hey,
Thank you.
Abby, would you mind telling me what your favorite part of your body is?
I would love to tell you.
Okay, thank you.
I think that my favorite part of my body.
Show me. Oh, I do like that sort of
Yeah.
expand
Yeah.
of smooth,
Just here.
soft skin
Right.
Yeah.
in between your under tit, but above your like fupa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a good,
Right? Like what?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's like
Thank you.
very smooth.
Thank you.
It's-
What do you call that area?
I don't know, but it reminds me, like, it just seems so fecund and fertile and feminine.
Yeah,
Like it's
right.
a very
Right.
feminine part of your body.
Thank
It
you.
is
Yes.
your trunk, which is not a feminine word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your abdomen.
Your abdomen. What quadrant of your abdomen is that? Like, fucking gross. But yeah.
Okay.
That's nice. That's a
Right.
good part.
Thank you.
That part should be a museum.
We briefly returned to Stephanie's phone to see the photo she mentioned earlier, the one of her in grade school looking like a 40-year-old with 9 cats.
Here's my frizzy hair when I was a little lady named Marge.
You were super cute. Get out of here.
I
You
wanna
were a really
see.
cute little girl.
Let me see. I want to
I like that little girl. I know that little girl is the.
My feather one.
Did you ever watch Freaks and Geeks?
Yes.
And so you remember what was the kid Bill Haverchuck? No, what was his last name?
Yes, Bill, I fucking love
Haverchuck.
Yeah.
Was that what he was called?
It feels right.
He would go home, and the most joy he had in his life was being a latchkey kid and watching whatever he wanted on TV and laughing his ass off watching like Johnny Carson reruns or whatever. And the pure joy that he had in doing that, I feel like is the same. That's that same kid, is that somewhere that they were finding these moments of joy where they didn't have to feel like they needed to be cool because they were unobserved, and they just had like these very private moments of being their true self. And back to the thing I was saying before, is like maybe becoming an adult is chipping away at that marble plinth to get to the private moments of joy person all the time that doesn't give a shit about how they're observed by others. Like I'm constantly chipping.
Getting back that moment of joy, kid. Before you knew different meant wrong. Before the big glasses and the acne. Before filling in bubbles. Before the compliments that kept you sick. Back when you took up all the space your little heart wanted and needed. So chip what you need to, friends. Keep on chipping on. In honor of our weird and normal bodies, please enjoy these vagina poems selected from a coloring book.
Are you okay? My
My vag is a taco
we-
filled with glistening meat. Hangs out with other tacos.
No need to compete.
Bringing joy to the world, my vag is Santa, spreading love and cheer from Kyoto to Atlanta.
My vag is an owl. Hoot, hoot, motherfuckers. Keeping you up all night, full feathers, no pluckers.